Alright, just got back from Central Oregon, working on the white truck. Something came in. I'll show you what came in. I'll also show you what I got while I was out in Central Oregon. Actually, you've seen it in the last video, or a few videos ago. But this will be a later time, but I got front springs from a Dana 50. We're actually going to take this lower leaf, we're going to chop the ends off. I think I'm going to chop them off right here. Right as I do the bevel right here. Just chop them off. And I'll put this under basically the same spring, but this one will be shorter, so it'll be underneath the rest of the pack. I got a decent driver's side or passenger side tie rod in. I'm going to get a new driver's side because that one's blown out. I also got all the U-bolts, some shocks I'm probably gonna throw away, but I need these brackets. The one on the driver's side's, or the passenger side's bent, so I got both of those. Some crappy shocks, they're gonna go in the garbage. They're flat. And extra 4x4 transmission mount. Let's show you what came in the mail. Anyways, I ordered an injection pump for this that had an E4OD adapter. So you know I was trying to make some piece of crap adapter and it's just not working out. Well, now I have the proper piece, I can properly adjust this. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where these are at. Get all this hardware off, take this off, see where this guy's at, and just get it indexed properly. I'm hoping that this piece, I bet this piece is slotted so it only goes on one way. I hope it is, because that'll make setting this up way easier. So I've got this injection pump. I have another one. It's actually buried over there, but it was for a Turbo 6.9. So I have two different spare injection pumps for it. That one was free. I paid too much money for that adapter. If you can go on a forum or something and find that piece, someone's got it and they'll sell it to you, good. I was in a hurry. I saw this on eBay. Yeah, it was a quick grab. I just got it because I want to get this truck running and driving properly and not having it shift weird or not shift at all. So anyways, I'm gonna take that off, slap it on the old smoky girl, and or dude, however you want to call it, slap it on this truck and see if it shifts properly. Alright, I'm going to show you how this works. First of all, get yourself a little torch and just heat this up. I did that and it, just the random expansion broke the bond between the two set screws. And it came off without destroying the set screws. So I want to show you how this is set up on here. At least this is how I got it. So when this goes on here, you have one set screw that goes into that hole there. And that keys it. And then you use this one here to just pinch it down some more. And then on the, where do you go? Sensor part, I've got witness marks that I'll just lock it back down onto. And we'll see if that'll do it. It may need to be adjusted even further than that, but at least now I have the factory piece and not some cobblefuck thingamajig. Fabricobbled bit, and at least if it, I don't have to worry about it breaking. This is the factory bit, it's all metal. The only thing that would be an issue is maybe the sensor, but yeah. So anyways, we got the real piece here. Should be able to get her shifting how she needs to be shifting. And then it's going to be registration, which I still haven't done. I got kind of caught up in some stuff, but probably next week I might do registration. I'm not sure. I might at least get a trip permit for it tomorrow after overtime. So if I get a trip permit for it, I might actually drive it to work this week. Alright, I got that on there. A little fiddly, but I got it. It's plugged in like she should be. I'm gonna clear this stuff out of the way and get it fired up, let it warm up for a little bit, and then we'll see if she drives good. Well, she's warming up. I'm gonna let it warm up for a little bit and just burn off this moisture on the windows so I can see. I could wipe it down, but I'm gonna let it burn it off. I don't like wiping, smearing, schmoo. Plus I have oil and stuff on this jacket, so. Alright, so I got it to shift through all the gears. However, I have one more issue to take care of.
A few moments later.
Okay, check this out, check it out. Steering wheel is straight. Okay. That looks good, right? Yeah. That is towed in a lot. I'm usually pretty good about eyeballing TTB, so I'm gonna just kick that out. Well, hell, I eyeballed this steering alignment. Now I got the wheels cocked, but you can't tell. But this is November we did this, I think. Probably needs to be towed in a tiny bit. Well, that was actually doing that a while ago. I need to just rotate the tires. Oh yeah, same oily mess. So, I don't know if I talked about it, but this seal here is, I have this injection pump, or actually injection pump that I got. It came with this, that had this adapter here. It has a barb fitting on here, and I'm going to steal that off that, put it on this one. And then I'm probably going to trim this line right about here and just add a piece of rubber hose and then double clamp it onto here real good. The reason why I want to do that is because I don't know where to get this O-ring for, and when I ask about this O-ring, everybody thinks I'm talking about those. So, which I actually have a kit ordered for this. And this fuel line here, I think we're gonna put one of those double enders here and then run the hose down there and get rid of that. I found this body ground just chilling over there. I'm probably gonna undo an intake bolt, wire wheel that spot, and not an intake bolt, but a oh shit, I might as well take an intake bolt out, put this right here, lock it down. It didn't really change anything when I put that on there, but it definitely needs to be there for sure. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to, let's see, how are these color coded? I might just strip these back. I'll find the two that I want. Strip them back a little bit. And then I'm going to tap my voltmeter into this. Turn the key on. And then I'll set the TPS. Now, this little drive here, the way it's set up is you have two Allen screws, or two set screws. One goes through the little hole that used to have a roll pin in. Well, you knock the roll pin out, you put this drive over it. The one set screw indexes with the hole that's in the shaft, and then this one here just is an extra lockdown support for that. So I'm actually going to take those out. I'm going to move that back, and I'm going to pull this back. This is where that set screw right there. That one's gonna want to go into the hole. So what I'll take that one out. I'll get it lined up, and then from there, what I'll do is probably tighten down the other guy real good, keeping that in line. Run it back in, and then we'll loosen, or we'll put this back on, and then we'll set our voltages. What I read online, someone said at an idle 1.1 volts is ideal, and then this is wide open throttle, and that should be about 4 volts max, I think. So I'm gonna try and set it to that and see what it does. I do know this has got, I'm gonna have to measure these out, but it's got a bigger, I think this tire back here is bigger than that one. And it's thrown the speedometer off by about 5 miles an hour. So, because one of the codes that I got was a vehicle speed sensor. So I don't know if it's freaking out because of that, or if it's because the sensor itself is going bad. Now I could go get a new one for 22 bucks, but what I would rather do is get this set to a factory spec. So I'm gonna do that first. Erase the codes, I'll pull the batteries. We'll take your first spin and see how it does. And then we'll check for codes again and see what else is left. I'm not getting anything for the range sensor, which is what's connected to your shifter here. It tells the computer if it's in park, neutral, drive, reverse, second, and first. It tells it all that information. If that malfunctions, the computer will act all weird and shift the transmission kind of funky. And damn it, I keep forgetting to get a new filter. This thing is leaking. As you can tell right there, there's fuel right down there. So because it leaks, if you let this sit for any more than a few days, it just cranks and 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 then kind of fires up. You know what? This does not need to be on there. So on naturally aspirated applications, you will want to leave this map sensor unplugged. Turbo, you'll want this hooked up to the intake because the computer needs to know pressure. Because if it knows pressure, it knows, because it'll know if the engine has a load on it or not. I was just doing my own diagnosis. I thought this needed to be hooked up, but when I realized it, I'm like, no, that's for turbo. You hook something up to it. NA, that just needs to be to atmospheric pressure. What you can do with this instead is hook up a nitrous oxide. Alright, let's see if I can show this without knocking the damn thing over. So I've got the TPS plugged into, or actually I've got I got some alligator clips hooked up to my leads here, like such, and I shaved back the wires a little bit on the TPS. My reference voltage was 5 volts. I've got red wire hooked up to the red and gray wire, or tan wire, or opaque, whatever you want to call it. Then my ground is hooked up to the middle wire of the TPS, and that one gave me the base numbers I want. So I've got good voltage going to it, so that's a good thing. So now I'm going to put a flathead screwdriver in the TPS here. And if you look at the voltmeter, our current base voltage is half a volt. I'm going to slowly ease into the TPS here. I think I'm about a quarter turn, I want to say, and I'm right at where the run idle voltage should be. And then I'm just slowly running through, and I'm getting a good sweep. Taps out at just over 4.5 volts. That's full wide open throttle. Okay, so now that we know that works, we can go ahead and mount this back up on the injection pump and then set the throttle position. Really, I'm just going to go for the base number. I'm looking for about 1.1. We'll see how it does with that. So I went to Advanced Auto Parts when I got my gear oil for the other truck. They had this for 20 bucks. This is actually nicer than the piece of crap Harbor Freight ones. So 20 bucks. I was going to use my dad's Fluke, but I don't want to get his all dirty and stuff or whatever. So plus it's for his work. So I bought this. I need a voltmeter anyways, so I can just do basic electrical diagnosis. This connector. I watched someone do a setup on it was a gas engine, but they did made an actual test plug where because the sensor had a harness coming off of it. So what he did is he took his old sensor, he cut the harness, and then soldered it into the factory harness. And I think he had another bit of an old factory harness, so he cut that, and he made it so that you'd have this plug just, hanging around. And then if you needed to set this, he'd take the plug, he'd take his other end for his voltmeter, and he would connect the two, and he would have a nice solid direct connection, and he'd be able to set his TPS properly. So that's not proper, so we want to do something like this. Yeah, so set it up so that your one of your flats rests on top of this, and then the other one goes on the bottom of that. Perfect. So that's set up there. Should get new screws for this. I actually have bolts for this, but okay, whatever. So there's half a volt. Oh, 1.1. I got it right there at 1.1. Yeah, Bob Saget. .1, and then we go wide open throttle. We got just 4.09 volts. 1.1. Well, we'll see what that does. That looks, based on where it's sitting, it looks like it's how it was set up on the other injection pump. So, if this is wrong, I'll either go online and look at what the diesel spec is for this, or you guys can tell me and we'll set it up based on what information I get from you guys. So it kind of shifted a little better. It went from first to second pretty nicely. It held first a little longer. And then when it went to second, it did the whole freaking blinking OD light thing, and then I've got 23 again, which is the throttle position sensor out of range. That position sensor, as we saw, has a good full sweep on it, so I'm wondering if maybe I need to know what the actual spec is for the diesel. 29 is the insufficient input from vehicle speed sensor. So I'm probably going to crawl under the truck and take a look at the sensor. I may actually go and pick up a new sensor and just toss it in. It's cheap enough. So, okay, there we go. We just reset the computer in there. Maybe it was on too long or something. I wanted this to cycle through, and I want to see what all the codes are. So I got 23. I know that's TPS. So we know that's still not in spec. So it doesn't quite like the 1.1. It rev hunted a little bit and didn't seem like it wanted to downshift. Right. Yeah. Code 10. That's just a KO something test. 29 is the vehicle speed sensor. So now I have a voltmeter. I'm going to go check the sensors and see if they're any good. So 23 and 29 seem to be what I'm getting now. I was getting some other codes a week ago, but those have kind of gone away. I've been running this thing and driving it around, and one of those was like a stoplight thing or something that went out. So it looks like I'm just left with 29 and 23. Oh, the other codes I was having base idle something rather. Those have gone away because I set the idle speed up back to 650. It should be between 650 and 700 on this engine with the automatic. So I set it to that, and that is great, but we got some issues with a sensor. I think it's either the sensor that's under here in the T-case, or it could be the one back here. So I'm going to do some poking around, and I'll let you know what I find out. So somebody already sent a comment on a little video I put up. I sent a link to one that says, idle 1.2 volts. I got it at 1.1. I can maybe go to 1.2 and see what that does, and it should be about 4.5 at wide open throttle. So I'm gonna come back to it later. I actually gotta go to Central Oregon, see what the boys are doing. So we're getting somewhere on that. Now I did try something else. I unplugged the speed sensor off the transfer case, and it made no difference whatsoever. So probably the next thing I'm going to do is chase the wires that go from the connector all the way up to the main harness and make sure that we don't have any broken wires. And then the next step after that, if the harness is good, I can check for or just replace the sensor. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'll turn the key on and hook my voltmeter up to those two pins on that plug and see what we get. If we get some sort of connection there, then that's good. Then we know the harness is good, and then we can maybe not trace it. And then we can go after the sensor. I'm thinking the sensor itself is probably bad. So I'm thinking that's what I'll probably end up doing next. It seems like the TPS is kind of there. The thing's actually downshifting. It's just not shifting smoothly, and it's rev hunting. So I'm thinking now all my problems is starting to come from the speed sensor. That's where we're at on this truck. So anyways, I'm gonna head her on out.